4,000 years ago, before Rome, before the Bible, before the pyramids even existed, someone pressed a reed into wet clay and invented the story. The first one, ever. And you'd think it would be about gods, or war, or the harvest. No. The first story humans ever wrote down was about a man who couldn't accept that he was going to die. It was buried under the desert for 2,000 years. We almost lost it forever. This is the Epic of Gilgamesh. And for the next 10 minutes, you're in it. Uruk, the greatest city on earth. Walls so thick you could race chariots on top of them. And by the way, those walls are real. What's left of them is still standing in Iraq right now. Gleaming temples, markets that never sleep. This is the city where humans are inventing writing itself. And it has one enormous problem. The king, Gilgamesh. 2/3 God, 1/3 man, don't ask about the math, and 100% insufferable. He wrestles the young men until nobody can stand. He takes whatever he wants, whenever he wants it. He walks into weddings uninvited because technically he owns the building, and the street, and you. He is the strongest human being alive, with the maturity of a teenager and the power of a demigod. He is, historically speaking, the world's first recorded case of too much. So his people do what desperate people do. They pray. Gods, please, we are begging you, do something about this guy. And the gods look down at Gilgamesh, and they get it. But their solution? Nobody saw it coming. This man doesn't need a punishment. No plague, no war, no lesson. He needs a friend. Someone exactly as strong, exactly as wild. So the goddess Aruru pinches off a piece of clay and throws it into the wilderness. Okay, quick checkpoint. 2/3 God, strongest man alive, bored, spoiled, ruining everyone's week. And the gods just decided to fix him with a friendship. You got all that? Good, because that piece of clay just stood up. And it has hair. Everywhere. His name is Enkidu, and he is not like us. He runs with the gazelles, eats grass, drinks at the waterhole on all fours. His body is covered in hair, and his strength is a problem. He rips hunters' traps out of the ground, frees the animals. The wilderness has a king now too. One day a trapper sees him at the waterhole and goes home white as a ghost. There is a man out there, strongest thing I have ever seen. Word travels to Uruk, and the plan to tame this wild man is very, very Mesopotamian. They send a woman from the city. Clever, patient, completely unafraid. She stays with him 6 days and 7 nights and teaches him what it means to be human. And when Enkidu goes back to his gazelles, they run from him. He's changed. The wild doesn't want him anymore. So she brings him to a shepherd camp, and they put bread in front of him. He stares at it. They pour him beer. He stares at it. He has never in his life seen food that somebody made. Then he eats the bread, drinks 7 jugs of the beer. His face lights up. He starts singing. And congratulations, Enkidu. You are now officially a human being. Bread and beer, that's the recipe. 4,000 years later, we have not changed. Then he hears about Gilgamesh, the king who takes whatever he wants. And Enkidu, brand new to civilization, but very clear on right and wrong, walks straight into Uruk and blocks the king's path. the two strongest beings on the planet, chest to chest, and they fight. Through the streets, through walls, literally through walls. Doorframes explode, the whole city shakes, until Gilgamesh finally, barely, gets the upper hand. And Enkidu, pinned to the ground, starts laughing. And Gilgamesh starts laughing. And that's it. That's the moment. The first great friendship in all of literature. The gods wanted someone to keep Gilgamesh busy. What they actually made was the other half of his soul. Checkpoint. The tyrant has a best friend. The city can finally breathe. Happy ending, roll credits? You wish. Because two overpowered guys with nothing to prove and nothing to do, that's not peace. That's a countdown. Gilgamesh gets an idea, and like all of his ideas, it is too big. Enkidu, let's go to the cedar forest and kill Humbaba. Humbaba, the giant the gods themselves appointed to guard the sacred cedars. A face like coiled intestines, breath of fire, a roar like the flood itself. Enkidu, who has actually seen Humbaba, says the 4,000-year-old version of absolutely not. Gilgamesh says the 4,000-year-old version of but will be legends. Guess who wins? They march for weeks. They reach the forest, and the trees are so tall the sky disappears. And when Humbaba comes, the mountains split. The fight is chaos. God himself hurls 13 winds to pin the giant down, and suddenly the monster is on his knees, begging. Spare me! I'll serve you! I'll cut the cedars for you myself! And for 1 second, Gilgamesh hesitates. Enkidu doesn't. Kill him before the gods find out. They do. Quick side note, because this is insane. This exact part of the tablet is broken. For centuries, nobody knew what really happened in that forest. Then, in 2011, a museum in Iraqi Kurdistan bought back a looted fragment, and the story grew 20 new lines. Suddenly, the forest had birdsong, monkeys chattering in the trees, and Enkidu, right after the killing, looks around at what they've done and says, "We have turned a living forest into a wasteland." This story is 4,000 years old, and it is still updating. Okay, where were we? Back in Uruk, Gilgamesh washes off the blood, puts on his crown, and gets noticed by Ishtar, goddess of love and war. She descends in person and proposes marriage on the spot. Riches, glory, a golden chariot. And Gilgamesh says no. But he doesn't just say no. He lists her exes, all of them. The shepherd who loved you? You turned him into a wolf. His own dogs chased him out. The gardener? He's a frog now. Tammuz? Still weeping in the underworld as we speak. And you want me next in line? This is the first recorded rejection in human history, and it's a diss track. Ishtar goes home screaming and borrows her father's weapon, the bull of heaven. It lands in Uruk, and its first snort opens a crack in the earth that swallows 100 men. The second snort, 200. Gilgamesh and Enkidu bring it down together, blade to the neck, and Enkidu, running on pure adrenaline, tears off a piece of the bull and throws it at the goddess's face. Yeah, he threw a piece of a divine bull at a goddess. Remember that, it's about to matter. Damage report: 1 sacred guardian, dead. 1 divine bull, dead. 1 goddess, publicly roasted, then hit with bull parts. And our heroes are out celebrating. You see the problem, right? The gods see it too, and that night, they call a meeting. Enkidu dreams. He sees the gods in council. They killed Humbaba. They killed the bull of heaven. One of the two must die. And they don't choose the king. Enkidu falls sick. Not wounded, sick. There is no monster to fight here. For 12 days, Gilgamesh sits by the bed and watches his friend fade, the strongest man in the world, and there is nothing he can do. Enkidu curses the day he became human. Then he takes it back, because being human gave him the one thing the wilderness never could. He dies at dawn, and Gilgamesh breaks. He refuses to bury him. For 7 days and 7 nights he holds the body, talking to it, weeping over it, telling himself his friend is only sleeping. He veils Enkidu's face like a bride's. He tears his hair. He rips the royal robes off his own back. And on the 7th day, he sees a worm. And he understands. This is not sleep. This is what death actually is. And it is coming for him too. The King of Uruk walks out of his own city gates dressed in animal skins, into the wilderness, headed for the one place no living person has ever reached. Because if death can take Enkidu, then he needs to find the one man who beat it. Stay with me here, because everything you've watched so far, that was the setup. This is what the oldest story on Earth is actually about. His name is Utnapishtim, the one human being the gods ever made immortal. He lives beyond the edge of the world, past mountains no one crosses, across waters that kill at a touch. Perfect. Let's go. Gilgamesh reaches the mountains of Mashu, guarded by scorpion beings whose glance is death. They look at his face, part god, and they open the way. The tunnel the sun itself travels through. And here, picture it. You are the king of the greatest city on earth. And you are alone, running through a tunnel under the mountains, in blackness so total you cannot see your own hands. For hours. Nothing but your grief and the sound of your own breathing. And then, light. You step out the other side, into a garden where the trees grow gemstones for fruit. That's where he meets Sidori, a tavern keeper at the end of the world. Because apparently even the edge of reality has a bar. And she looks at this broken king and gives him what might be the oldest advice ever written down. This is on the tablet, 4,000 years old. Gilgamesh, where are you running? The life you chase, you will never find. When the gods made humans, they kept forever for themselves and handed us death. So eat well, dance, keep your clothes clean, hold the child who holds your hand, love the one who loves you. That is what a human being gets. It's beautiful. It's wise. It's every self-help book ever written 4,000 years early. He completely ignores it. He crosses the waters of death with a ferryman, pushing the boat with 300 poles, dropping each one before the water can touch his skin. And on the far shore, an old man is sitting quietly. No throne, no glow, just an old man. You're Utnapishtim? You beat death? How? And the old man tells him a story. Long ago, the gods decided to erase mankind, a flood. But one god broke ranks and whispered through a reed wall to one man, "Tear down your house, build a boat, take your family, take the seed of every living thing." Then the storm came, so violent that the gods themselves fled to the highest heaven and cowered like dogs. 6 days and 7 nights, and when it ended, the world was water. The boat ran aground on a mountaintop. The man released a dove. It came back. A swallow. it came back. A raven didn't. Land, life, a second chance, a flood, a boat, the animals, the birds. Sound familiar? This clay tablet is more than 1,000 years older than any other surviving written version of that story. Let that sit for a second. The gods made me immortal to mark that day, says Utnapishtim. It was a one-time gift. But fine, you want eternity? Prove you can handle it. Don't sleep. 7 days, starting now. And Gilgamesh, who just crossed the entire planet on foot, sits down, gets comfortable, and falls asleep, almost instantly. He wanted forever. He couldn't do a week. Quick check. The secret to immortality was a one-time offer, and our hero just slept through the interview. It's over. He's done. Except Utnapishtim's wife feels sorry for him, and there is one last chance. A plant at the bottom of the sea, covered in thorns. It doesn't grant immortality, but it gives back your youth. Its name? The Old Man Grows Young. Gilgamesh ties stones to his feet, sinks to the seabed, and grabs it, thorns shredding his hands, and comes up holding the closest thing to forever a human being has ever touched. And he doesn't eat it. He wants to carry it home first. Test it on an elder of Uruk. Share it. For the first time in this entire story, he is thinking about someone else. On the road home, he stops at a pool of cool water to wash. He sets the plant down, on the grass, unattended. You already know. A snake smells it, slides in, swallows it, and sheds its old skin as it glides away. That, says the oldest story on earth, is why snakes shed. They took our forever. And Gilgamesh sits down and weeps. He doesn't rage. He doesn't fight. The tablet keeps his words, and they might be the most human line in the whole poem. For whom did my hands labor? I gained nothing for myself. I did a favor for a snake. The tunnel, the darkness, the waters of death, the thorns in his hands, all of it. And then he goes home. And as Uruk rises on the horizon, he turns to the ferryman and says something strange. Look at these walls. Climb them. Walk their length. Study the brickwork. A king built this. That's it. That's the ending. No potion, no trick. He is going to die. But the city stands. The walls stand. The story stands. And honestly, this is the part that got me. He asked for eternal life. Instead, someone pressed his name into wet clay. And 4,000 years later, on the other side of the world, in a language that didn't even exist yet, you just spent 10 minutes living his life. The man who wanted to live forever is doing it right now, in your head. The oldest story ever written by humans, and it was about all of us.